Mike's Daily Podcast.
Welcome to FF episode 2915, 2915. And Mike Matthews here at Café Anyway, somewhere in podCastro Valley.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
The last place on earth. Have you noticed whenever you use Zoom and you have a microphone connected via a boom and you are trying to make sure that it's recording and that you're not crying? Zoom likes to take over your entire microphone.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
All your recording equipment. And then the only way to fix it is to go, if you're using Windows,
Mike's
into your sound
Daily
recording equipment
Podcast
situation.
Yeah!
And you got to click through a million windows. And you got to eventually get into this thing called properties. And then, voila! Then you sound somewhat normal. We'll go with 76, because that was a year that I remember. Because I was born in 68. So I remember 76 was a bicentennial. And I thought, ooh, cool. There's going to be lots of fireworks and guys in these cool hats that make them look like they're, you know, I'm trying not to say the word that rhymes with Bolonial, but that's what it was, that era, and the spirit of 76 and all that stuff. And I think wasn't there a musical out then called 1776? 200 years. We were 200 years old at that point. We didn't look a year over 120. So that's what you do if you're having problems with your Zoom. Just to let you know, I'm here to help, because everybody uses Zoom these days, right? Or TikTok. TikTok is becoming regular news. Well, it's regularly in the news, it seems, but it is also a regular news source. 39% of people that are 18 to 29 regularly get news from the app. Did you know that?
And here's today's podcast picture.
Oh, I quoted Mr. Bison Bentley. I hope I got his approval in post, because he'll be mad at me. The podcast picture, let's see. Let's do something. Yesterday, this was interesting. What was this? What was I doing yesterday? What was that? Oh, yeah, it's a cool podcaster valley. So recently we had all this cool moisture happening in the air in the Bay Area, and it was very odd. We felt very like we were in the Midwest. The late, great Basil the Boxer never went to the Midwest, unfortunately. Not that I know of. And there he is singing to us and barking and saying, hey, get out there and enjoy life. Well, there is somebody watching. Hey, there's somebody watching live. Woo! I'm on the Facebook there. If you want a link to that, go to mikesdailypodcast.com. You'll see the Facebook under where it says Mike is a social guy. Click on that and it'll take you to the page. You can see the video that I did where I have a bunch of these. Is it a Bichon? Or a Bichon dog? Or the what do you call them? The Yorkie. Yorkie? No. It's more like a Bichon. One of these cute dogs they're too cute for words. Oh, and my shirt says, I don't get drunk, I get awesome. And that is not a pro... Oh.
Life grand.
What? Alcoholic stance. Life is grand. So why get all blottoed all the time? You got to enjoy life, the good things. I know there's a lot of pain in life, like seeing that the one person that was watching me live is now gone. But hey, the thing is that when you drink, that turns to sugar. It's bad for you, especially if you're trying to keep your weight down and fight diabetes. And just alcohol does terrible, terrible things to your liver. Don't let anyone tell you different. I know someone who's going through some big bad time issues because he drank his whole life, and he's doing way, way better because he quit the booze back in January. And he's an inspiration, and I'm very proud of him. But gosh, it did a number. So, but he's hanging in there. He's doing better than me in a lot of respects. Very healthy guy. So, these are the type of people we should applaud in this world. What? It's time for a little musical interlude? Oh yeah, but
What's the cliche of the week?
the podcast picture is what's the cliche of the week? A cool little
What's the cliche of the week?
skyscape in Podcaster Valley. Shay of the week. That's right. So see that at mikesdailypodcast.com. You can go to a link to see the video of me doing the podcast at mikesdailypodcast.com. I am not going to tell you that Madame Rootabega was, my lovely lady friend interrupted Madame Rootabega.
What's the cliche of the week?
And that just told me
What's the cliche of the week?
that overall, what's the cliche of the week? We are interrupted a lot in this world. What's the cliche of the week? Whether it be some nonsense chorus. What does that even mean? What's the cliche of the week? Well, we're being interrupted all the time by technology, by our friends, because people are getting more and more rude, it seems. When you watch a talk show and a bunch of pundits talking, they're always interrupting each other. I don't like it. Oh, by the way, so get ready when Trump is president, if that should happen. Any criticism that you have about Trump, you're going to now be labeled as unpatriotic. That always happens. Republican presidents. Remember, I've been alive since 1968. I've seen it. Especially when we had George W. Bush in office. And he said anything derogatory toward... Look at the Dixie Chicks. Or the Chicks now. They were on foreign soil.
News random.
News random. This is old news. But, they got into such hot water because they were, quote unquote, on foreign soil when they said that they were not... They were ashamed that the president was from the state of Texas that they were from. I'm paraphrasing. But they were labeled unpatriotic. We were at war, but it was a war that a lot of people didn't agree with in the United States, and the whole thing about the weapons that they thought were there. Weapons of mass destruction weren't there that when they were looking for them. As we go outside of Café Anyway, we bring you Mike's Daily Podcast somewhere in PodCastro Valley, the last place on earth in the land of Rootabega. I think I've even heard Trump say something to the effect that that was a whole mess. It's a mess. So, hey, the thing is that when you say something, you know what? There is freedom of speech. And Dennis Prager, who's well known,
Mike's scavenger hunt.
as we look through the radio dial for talk show hosts, you have sports talk show hosts, and then you have some of the Christian pastors talking, maybe even some Catholic type talk show hosts. There's Relevant Radio. It's like a nationwide Catholic news or Catholic radio network, I guess, just all things Catholic. They do the rosary and stuff like that. And then you've got your business talk stations, and then you got your right-wing talk radio. And there's a lot of people on there that are always talking about, like Dennis Prager saying, we need freedom of speech, freedom of speech. You need to say what you really want to say. Let the words come out like the Sarah Bareilles song. And that's what they're all about. But let's hope we keep that when it's a Republican-run nation. I'm just hoping that the Dennis Prager stands by what he says.
For your entertainment.
Oh, what's this? Somebody.
The only.
What?
Mike Matthews.
That is me. Hello. So that's all I'm bringing up here at the beginning of this heavy topic of in the land of Rootabega here at Café Anyway, Mike's Daily Podcast in Podcastro Valley, last place on earth. So this is kind of a thing to think about, that people overall with the news, they don't just get it from Mike's Daily Podcast, but apparently 39%, 18 to 29, regularly get news from TikTok. That's right, TikTok. I told somebody today who's about 28. I said, I don't go on TikTok. He said, why not? I go, because I'm too old. I'm in my 50s. He goes, no, everybody's welcome. And whenever I hear that, everybody's welcome, I usually run the other direction. What? No. But yes, apparently I'm welcome. But I told him, my mic tip to him was be careful because there is some questionable stuff about that app. And it may be banned soon at the end of the year. We'll see. So, but that doesn't really blow my mind to hear those numbers. 39% of people 18 to 29 regularly getting news from TikTok, because about 30 or so years ago in the 90s, they were saying that about The Daily Show with Jon Stewart. They were saying people in that general age bracket were getting their news from Jon, which actually upset Jon to some degree. It's like, wait, what? I make jokes. I'm a comedian. I'm not a news anchor. But let's talk about this interesting bit of news, that women still lag behind men in the workforce. 10% of Fortune 500 CEOs are women. 10%, compared to 5% in 2015. So some definite...
Wow, shuts, wow.
Wow, shuts, wow, as my mom would say, because she called me Shuts because she was German. There's been some improvement, but women now hold 29% of C-suite positions. C, it's sweet. That's up from 17% in 2015. There's a long, long way to go. Because look, Miley Cyrus is getting sued for allegedly copying a Bruno Mars song. Yes, that song you heard 1,000,000 times over the past 2 years. C-suite, by the way, refers to the executive level managers within a company who have titles that start with the letter C, like CEO, CFO, or COO, or cool. Miley Cyrus had that song, I can promise you flowers, write your name in the sand, I can talk for hours, let you know, man. And that whole thing, you know it, I don't need to go. It was number one. It won awards.
The Newsbleed section.
We're in the Newsbleed section now, everybody. But Bruno Mars had a song called When I Was Your Man. And it was interesting because the first time I heard the song Flowers by Miley Cyrus, I thought to myself, that's interesting because it reminds me of When I Was Your Man. So what it says is that attorneys for Tempo Music Investments argued that the similarities between the songs are the results of intentional copying. It says any fan of Bruno Mars' When I Was Your Man song knows that Miley Cyrus' Flowers did not achieve all that success on its own. Flowers duplicates numerous melodic, harmonic, and lyrical elements of When I Was Your Man, including the melodic pitch, design, and sequence of the verse, the connecting bass line, certain bars of the chorus, certain theatrical music elements, lyric elements, and specific chord progressions. Let's talk about that song, Flowers by Miley Cyrus, because a lot of people gave that song grief because it has no intro. It just gets right into the lyrics, then the chorus, we were saying,
Wine.
Well, I like
The whiny white man wine list.
Oh, I know. I'm white, but I'm not whining as much as the people on the right are whining constantly. Oh, can I just for a moment? Somebody, let's see. Now, that one wasn't really whining. Not that one. The other one. No. This, our brutalized political culture. Yes, that one. Seth Leibson. Okay, Seth Leibson said something else interesting lately that I'll get to on another podcast. But he said the recent attempted assassination of Donald Trump had, the recent attempted assassin of Donald Trump, that's what it had recently tweeted out, democracy is on the ballot. Many of you will recognize that as a direct quote from Joe Biden, as well as Kamala Harris, Tim Walz, and other prominent Democrats. He says, will we read about this
nightmare of a show?
Will we read about this nightmare of a show? No, it says, will we read this about this anywhere in mainstream media? When the would-be assailant of Nancy Pelosi in California kept yelling, "Where's Nancy?" the media said he was parroting a chant from January 6th, which happened a year before, with Trump and the whole thing and all the Republicans storming the Capitol and how that wasn't cool and, all the rest. He says those nexuses will not be made here. Nevertheless, we have a Democratic Party whose leaders continually refer to Donald Trump as a racist and a fascist and an existential threat to the Constitution and country.
First of all, I just want to thank everyone for joining us here on this show. This is great.
The head of the you're welcome. The head of the DNC claims the Republican Party is the party of fascism and fear. Kamala Harris has been saying Trump is the greatest national security threat to America. Networks like CNN and MSNBC platforms, so-called experts, say Donald Trump is worse than Hitler. Democrats and their allies in elite media have brutalized and hystericized. Is that a word, hystericized? I have never used that. But heck, I'm going to start using it now. Our political and social culture, they must be called out. So what Seth Leibson is hystericizing over is that the guy who tried to kill Trump over the past weekend, the previous weekend, was that he said that in one of his tweets said that democracy is on the ballot, and then he wanted to kill Trump. So what is that? Have you heard that in anywhere? In any media? And when I say any media, that could mean, now when he says mainstream media, who is he saying specifically? Because there's all kinds of media. Maybe Fox mentioned it. Maybe CNN mentioned it. Which one are you talking about? Are you saying CNN? Because Fox is media. Fox is mainstream media. CNN is mainstream media. What I don't understand is that they're always railing against mainstream media. But what is that exactly? There is so much media now. There's all the stuff on YouTube people watch and get their news from. There's, like I just mentioned, TikTok gets people get their news from TikTok. Is that media? Oh, you know what I mean, Mike. You know what No. This is 2024. This is not 1996 when you were complaining about this stuff back then, being a whiny white man wine list type thing then. No. What is it? So has the democracy is on the ballot? We did hear, I listen to as much news as I can during my commute to work, which is about 45 minutes. So I avoid commercials and I listen to news. And I really did not hear that much about the assassins. I did hear that something that he had registered as a Democrat. That is true. So I did get that from quote unquote the mainstream media. Is he alluding to that might have been blocked? I never heard this Where's Nancy thing. So I didn't hear that in the mainstream media. Does that make the mainstream media now a foe to me as well? Anyway, Café Anyway, the stuff they complain about. And they're going to only keep complaining. And there are tons of people on the left that should be, when they make this sort of complaint against Biden or Kamala, there are people on the left that should make the same, do the whole hystericizing and say, hey, you can't do that. That's a sitting president. You're being unpatriotic, which is exactly what they're going to do if Trump gets back in the office. It's what they did when he was in office. It's what they did with George W. Bush and George Bush and Reagan and on down the line. But back to the amazing news about women doing better in the workplace. But they still lag behind men in the workforce, but 10% of Fortune 500 CEOs are women. And Instagram rolled out sweeping restrictions for teen accounts, including automatically muting notifications overnight and blocking sensitive content. You should mute every notification on your phone, except for, texts. And then what's the other thing? What else would you need? I don't think you can mute texts. Can you? I guess you can. If you don't want to hear from texts, that's fine too. Just mute. I say mute everything. There's really nothing you need unless you have you need a lifeline with you and some connection. So you need the notifications for when they're trying to get in touch with you. Yeah. Oh, so back to Miley. There is a lot of similarities. I don't have the sweet suit, not so sweet suit, if you're Miley Cyrus, quoted lyrics from When I Was Your Man That's the Bruno Mars song. That I should have brought you flowers and held your hand, should have gave you all my hours, take you to a party because all you wanted to do was dance. Compared to the lyrics of Cyrus's song, I can buy myself flowers. See how both choruses started with buying flowers? You know who wins? At the end, the lawyers and the florists. And I can hold your hand. See, the next part of the verse in Bruno's was, I should have bought you flowers and held your hand. So she says, I can buy myself flowers. I can hold my own hand, talk to myself for hours. I can take myself dancing. And the way that the chorus ends in When I Was Your Man was because all you wanted to do was dance. Oh, take you to every party because all you wanted to do was dance. And there are definitely similarities between those two songs. The Bruno Mars song is slow. Miley Cyrus song is fast, more upbeat. She does do a slower version on the album, I am told. But, yeah, so we'll see. It might just be another frivolous lawsuit. But Miley Cyrus did so well with that song. She did well at the Grammys. She won her first Grammy, actually, in her nearly 20-year career. It spent 6 weeks at number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 chart. I worked for a time for a radio station that played that song every 2 hours. And then would play the Bruno Mars song every 2 hours. Even though that song came out 10 years earlier, I would hear both those songs constantly. And that's the thing I remember most from that station, that and their awful, awful coffee. Oh! And they would just play that same stuff over and over again, and it was annoying. So, I guess revenge is a dish best served cold. And Miley Cyrus is finding out all about it. We'll see. And Intuitive Machines stock soars on the new NASA contract. Space technology provider Intuitive Machines will provide communication and navigation services for missions in the near space region. This area extends from the Earth's surface to beyond the moon. NASA is giving the company $4.8 billion over 10 years. Intuitive's Odysseus lander in February became the first soft landing on the moon for a U.S. entity in almost 50 years. Intuitive Machines has a contract to deliver 6 science and technology payloads to the moon's south pole. That's where all the fun happens. That's where all the penguins are. The moon penguins. No, that's not a thing. Intuitive established itself as the leading commercial delivery to the moon. Their stock was up 111% year to date. And when the news came out about all this, it soared another 50%. All that from Rob Black. I produce his podcast. He is heard on AM 1220 KDOW weekday mornings. And on Cron TV, you can see him Monday through Thursday in the 9 o'clock hour. Look who's outside of Café Anyway. Wow. Hi, Mac. It's Benita the Rodeo Queen. Hell yeah. As a disgruntled fiddle player, tell you what. What? Don't tell my heart, my achy breaky heart. I just don't think you'd understand. Oh, that's the dad of Miley. That's right. He had a mullet. He had a fantastic, he still has great hair. That guy. Wow. And there was the dance. Can't forget the dance. The dance made the song as much as the goofy lyrics of that song. Ooh! So I get this email, Disgruntled Fiddle Player and Benita. What's an email? Just kidding. I know it has something to do with spam. Yeah, delicious spam. It said it was from a guy named Jonathan Bailey Strong, whoever that is. It says, first off, Mike, congrats on reaching more than 16 episodes with Mike's Daily Podcast. How about 2,915 episodes, dude? Jonathan goes on. Impressive, considering 59% of shows don't make it past 10 episodes. Is that true? 59% of podcasts don't make it past 10 episodes? If that's true, wow. I've gone way over 2,000 times that. Dang. So a little pat on my back there. thought of reaching out as we specialize in helping shows like yours grow and save time with our hands-on production and strategy packages. The work has enabled Chris to convert 14%. I don't know who Chris is. Chris to convert 14% of his high-caliber podcast guests into clients. And Crystal, interesting, the first person was named Chris, and this person's name is Crystal. Sounds like someone is having trouble trying to come up with the names. Just pulling names out of thin air. Crystal, I guess their work has enabled Crystal to transform her podcast, solidifying her status at leading industry events. Wow. I don't even know what that means. Do you? Leading industry events? What industry? What are we even talking about? Solidifying it? How? Do you want me to share how we can replicate this kind of growth/results for you? Best, Jonathan Bailey Strong. P.S. Just so you know, we're legit. We've helped shows, including Tim Ferriss, New York Roadrunners, and plenty more. I have no idea what those are. With combined downloads total of over 700 million. Okay. See, this is the thing in podcasting. You can pull any number out of the air and no one can check. No one can. Now, if you're on YouTube, you can see. You can see what the number is. Oh, he's got that many subscribers. Oh, 66. And, oh, look how many listens he has on that show. Well, I had 20 plays on one podcast recently. So it's all right there in your face. But most podcast platforms, no one's telling anybody. It's all hidden. They can't check the analytics unless you show them. So that Jonathan Bailey Strong can say whatever. It's annoying. Look who else is here. Oh my God, make delicious root beer. Have some right now. Thank you, Brewmaster. I'll have some right now. Oh. All right. Hey, so all I'm saying is, let's just make sure, we have freedom of speech all the time. Even if your speech is annoying me, you're still free to do it. And B, let's make sure there are more women CFOs and CEOs out there. How do we do that? We force them in. We just say, no, you can't get hired, man. White man, no. Got to have a woman. Sorry. Yes, you're qualified, but no. We've been down this road too many times. No, I don't think that's the best way either. But I think at some point we will get to it. We should try. We should try to allow as many people in as possible to what's the word? Apply. That's it. Wait, I think there's laws in California for that kind of thing. And then we see if we have a super CEO that happens to be a different gender from the typical gender that we've had for all these years. So we'll find out. But we have to also be careful of DEI hires where people were not vetted properly. The same vetting that I have to go through, you have to go through. I think it's only fair, don't you? No? All right. Well, what do you think? Here's the phone number.
Call Mike at the Café Anyway hotline. Area code 510-228-4640. Will you shut ups? Liberty Nation Freedom Foam for All.
And with all things Mike's Daily Podcast, we go to the mainframe and hear from A-Frame. Thanks for listening.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at mikesdailypodcast.com.
Email Mike now at mikesdailypodcast@gmail.com.
See you tomorrow. Bye!